Raj is frozen. That's not good.
No, I'm not frozen.
Oh.
He's just... That's so good, bro. Raj is frozen. No, he's just baffled by how stupid you are.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to episode 31 of the Coconut Curry podcast. On this episode, we are going to discuss the NBA playoffs. Going to talk about the first round, talk about the big storylines resulting from the winners, the losers, and somewhere in between. And then we're going to go over some of the first, second round games. If we have time at the end, maybe we'll throw in a little bit of draft stuff, but we might also save that for another day. But before we do all that, if you're new around here, we are 3 college students at the University of Pittsburgh. I did not change that.
Formerly,
yeah,
sad. I just read that too.
Yeah.
That's tough. That's really tough.
If you are new around here, and if you are been around here often, we are no longer 3 college students at the University of Pittsburgh. Very sad. Light up a candle. F's in the chat. Yeah. But we are on all platforms: YouTube, Apple, Spotify. Maybe we'll talk about our future plans in another episode, but that's not for today because there's a lot of sports to cover. If you're new around here, we just chat about sports and hopefully offer a fresh new perspective on things. Please like, comment, subscribe. It helps us out a lot. You'll be seeing a lot of content be published on the channel because I have a lot of time this summer to do what I want to do with the channel. So we'll be doing that. First, housekeeping items. This is our first virtual episode since we are now separated. I am back home, so we will be doing all of our episodes recorded virtually. It is very sad. We'll miss the in-person banter. You might be wondering, because you see this is episode 31. Wait, Justin, where's episode 30? So episode 30 was recorded 2 weeks ago. I never uploaded it because we all got busy with graduation stuff.
You were graduating college.
So that episode's out there somewhere. It's an episode I swore not to raise my voice, and I made more horrible takes. But unfortunately, I will be uploading that sometime in the future. So stay tuned.
You know what? That'll go in the Patreon. That'll be the secret episode of the Patreon that we're going to be starting up soon. That will definitely be starting. That you should definitely give us money for.
Yeah, definitely.
Secret
content.
It's called Coconut Curry Plus.
Yes. Yeah, we're starting our own subscription service.
Guys.
Oh, we have an OnlyFans too.
Oh God, no!
What?
Here we go. Well, Justin made an OnlyFans.
Don't worry about it, guys. Don't worry about
it. I mean, you gonna split the profits with us? What's going on?
It's literally just videos.
Yeah,
of
that
our
was
toes.
totally the plan. And then, so we took off 2 weeks ago. We recorded. You guys never saw that, and then last week we didn't record. So we have actually a lot to cover. A lot that I've also forgotten about in the sports world. But we're gonna keep pushing forward. Starting with reacting to comments. Every episode we react to comments. Unfortunately, there are no comments to react to, but I believe Peter wanted to address a comment that we reacted to a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, so a couple weeks ago, some Lakers fan got mad at me in the comments because he thought I was stupid for saying the Lakers weren't going to come back against the Nuggets, and they in fact did not. So please suck my I was right. I'm kidding. It was a very friendly banter. I did appreciate the comment, but
yeah, it was
full disrespect.
He said,
I hate Lakers.
I hate you.
He said Lakers in 6, which was funny too because it wasn't even close. And
no,
he's like,
they gave him the gentleman's sweep.
Yeah, but they gave him one pity game.
Jamal Murray hit this guy said I was going to be crying afterwards. But,
he did. He's a cry Giants fan.
Yeah, but yeah, I'll be crying when the Giants are bad. Don't worry, but I won't be crying because of my takes.
Now let's move on to Disgruntled Moment of the Week, our favorite segment. Yeah. If you haven't been here for Disgruntled Moment of the Week, this is when we talk about moments in our week, in our life, in the sports world, whatever we feel like that makes someone or ourselves angry or dissatisfied. And I'm going to start off with the Darvin Ham firing because I felt like this deserved its own segment. You know, there's many sports shows have 10 minutes. 8 minutes dedicated all to Darvin Ham firing. What I'm actually disgruntled about is the media's reaction to the Darvin Ham firing because everybody suddenly has adopted this mindset of, guys, we can't just use Darvin Ham as a scapegoat. Guys, it wasn't Darvin Ham's fault. Guys,
it was LeBron's fault.
LeBron and AD, dude, don't they deserve some blame? Guys, Rob Pelinka put the roster together. He didn't make a trade at the deadline. I don't know if anybody has watched the Lakers this season or started watching from game 1 of the season. Last year, the Lakers made the Western Conference Finals with the lineup of D'Angelo Russell at the point guard, Austin Reeves at the shooting guard, Rui Hachimura at the 3, or LeBron at the 3, whatever you want to say. The other person played power forward. And then number 4, at the 5 position, they played Anthony Davis. That is a lineup that they played the closest sweep in NBA history against the Nuggets, who won the championship, and the one they made the Western Conference Finals with. To start the year with all of those guys still on the Lakers roster, Darvin Ham played Taurean Prince 32 minutes a game. They got away with it in the in-season tournament. Then after the in-season tournament, with Rui on the bench and playing Taurean Prince and Cam Reddish, who's a 10th or 11th guy in the league, they went 3-13. So we will get into the Lakers a little bit later. But the reason the Lakers had to play the Nuggets in the first round is Darvin Ham's fault completely. So is a reason the reason the Lakers lost to the Nuggets in the playoffs Darvin Ham's fault? No, because the Lakers aren't better than the Nuggets. But they shouldn't have even had to, the Lakers should have been a 6 seed playing the Timberwolves in the first round, or they could have been.
But
maybe this year, but I think they played them last year and won. So if I recall correctly, but even if they didn't, it's a different matchup. But the reason they had to play the team that beat them last year was because Darvin Ham did a bad job coaching. He played Cam Reddish way too many minutes. He played Taurean Prince way too many. And the idea that he's being used as a scapegoat for the Lakers, no one's upset that the Lakers didn't beat the Nuggets this year. That's not the problem. The problem is that they were even in that position in the first place. They should have been a 4 or a 5 seed. They should have gotten to play the Suns or gotten to play the Pelicans or even the Thunder, but they weren't in that position. And I cannot believe that the media has now taken this idea that we're scapegoating. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, it is just because I get to a certain extent where it's oh, well, it can't be all his fault. Obviously, some of these star players do hold some responsibility towards this. I understand that, but he's also just not a good coach. So, there's a reason why these star players weren't giving him, the same level of respect as, these other great coaches, because if you're not a good coach and somebody knows you're an idiot and they're really good at what they do, they're not going to listen to you.
It's driving me insane because Darvin Ham just during the regular season didn't make the right adjustments, and now people you're saying it's clear that he didn't have the coaching ability in the regular season to make correct choices on how they wanted to play. So I don't understand where there are coaches are all the time used as scapegoats. There's so many of them that you can make that claim for over time. For example, Frank Vogel, who got ran out, he was much more of a scapegoat who the Lakers fired 2 years ago or last year.
He was doing fine with the
2 years. Yeah, 2 years ago, he came off a championship. 2 years later, gets fired. I felt like he was kind of a scapegoat for a bad roster. He was
definitely much more of a scapegoat than
Darvin Ham, again, because the Lakers barely eked into this playoffs, and that was a result of going 3-13 after the in-season tournament. And also in the this is the other point, in the biggest game of the season, it was when they were playing the Warriors, and if they win that game, they get to hold the 6 seed. They would have had a game and a half or a game up on the 7th seed, and they would have assured themselves of not playing in the play-in spot, which again, I know in hindsight they would have ended with the Timberwolves, and maybe that ends bad. We're not playing that game. We're just saying if they avoid the Nuggets in the first round, if they beat the Warriors, they might have had a real shot to get the 6th seed. In that game, Darvin Ham played a lineup that had never played any minutes the entire series together. They got outscored by 12 points by the Golden State Warriors in 2.5 minutes of game time, and the game was over.
That's insane.
That is coaching. That is horrible coaching right there.
Yeah.
In the playoffs, you get lucky because you have the best player of all time who's an in-game coach probably telling you, Darvin, we're not doing that. Darvin, we're not doing that. And that's why you don't look bad in the playoffs. But when LeBron doesn't do that during the regular season, you look kind of good. So I'm disgruntled because I listen to guys like Colin Cowherd go on his show in the morning and say, oh guys, I think Darvin, and this is Stephen A. Smith said this, all these guys are like Darvin Ham being used as a scapegoat. No, he made bad decisions all season. It's not about the Nuggets series.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. It's just, I feel like this narrative came out of literally nowhere. Like, nowhere at any point did anybody think that he was a good coach or that he should stay. And then the second he gets fired, it's like, why is he being fired? It's like, you just said he wasn't a good, but whatever. It's fine. He's fired. We move on.
The Lakers are still going to be bad. It's okay.
Yeah. But we still get to see them every single day in the news cycle, right?
Yep.
Because they're the Lakers.
Yep. How does this affect LeBron's legacy, guys?
Exactly.
Well, JJ Redick's going to be coaching the Lakers next year, so.
You're right.
That would be hype.
Is going to go crazy.
That would be hype. God, that would be so cool.
The pod to head coach pipeline.
The pod to, are we going to be head coaches?
Good. Raj would be an interesting head coach.
I feel like Raj would be a good head coach for like the Hornets. I feel like
I would
he would just like show up and be like, "You all are terrible." Yeah,
I send my worst player out there to break their star player's like ankle.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like he'd be like, "You're all terrible. We're not winning a game. We're just gonna do funny and just see what happens."
Let's just ruin another team's season.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, let's just ruin some fan's day and just kill people.
You see Anthony Edwards out there balling, run into his kneecap.
Like, you're literally gonna turn basketball into hockey with like goons and stuff. Like, you're just gonna have guys that just learn how to fight and just get ejected.
I make Sean Payton look like a saint.
Yeah, literally. Oh my god.
All
well,
right,
so my disgruntled moment of the week is I have it listed as Rashee Rice, but it's more about just like young NFL receivers deciding to throw their careers away over absolutely nothing and just being stupid. So most recently, Rashee Rice, after getting into a severe like accident where he had two rented cars that were trying to drag race on a highway, get into like a multiple car collision. Everybody ended up being fine, thank God. Then just today,
I feel like that issue kind of blew over like decently well. It kind of exited the news cycle pretty quick.
It did, and as much as the NFL likes to say that, you know, they hold their league to the integrity and like all that, whatever, it's all about the news. If it's in the news cycle, they're gonna punish you harder. It all depends on how they see it, because they would rather keep the better players in the league longer than keep them out. Whatever, you know what I mean? It's a business. But then, literally today, as we are recording this podcast, allegedly, we have another thing come out about Rashee Rice punching a camera person or like a journalist or something, like a club, a photographer at a club, because I guess the guy was like trying to like basically was like kind of instigating him a little bit and being like, oh, like, how long are you gonna get suspended for? And then Rashee Rice just like knocked him out. Alleged, again, this is all alleged. This could come out. This could be completely fake. I don't know, but dude, just stop going out until all this passes over, for the love of God.
Down 0 dark 30.
Like, just
NFL
lock yourself in a
get
room.
Arrested challenge. Like, impossible.
Exactly, Raj. Nailed it right there. It's like, guys, you are in the NFL. Also, for Rashee Rice specifically, now this has happened, like, obviously there's been a ton of stuff with like younger players getting into the league, getting into trouble, whatever. For Rashee Rice specifically, you literally just won a Super Bowl with this team. Can you calm down for like a half second and you can make history? Like, don't do anything stupid. Just stay in your lane for a little bit. And then once you make your money, you make your bank, you do all the crazy crap that you want to. Well, but just like, it's just dumb.
And the funny thing is, the Chiefs are pretty tolerant because Kadarius Toney has been sitting on their roster for the entire Super Bowl run they had, and he was apparently like leaking stuff about how he didn't like the team and Andy Reid and all that stuff.
He's so toxic.
Rashee is just an okay receiver and doesn't blow up on the team. He might get a second Super Bowl ring.
Yeah, like that's the whole thing. But like, it just drives me nuts seeing like this person succeed so much and like achieve their goals, and then just like this close to completely throwing it away, like Henry Ruggs, who literally was doing a very similar thing. Obviously, he was drunk driving, so that obviously steps it up, and somebody died, which was like horrible. But that multiple car collision easily could have gotten somebody killed.
Like, the multiple car collision's not much better.
like it's not much, but like none of the cars rolled over. Like there, like it could have been so much worse.
And there was weed found in the car, right?
I don't know about that. Cops kind of do that all the time, but I'm not as worried about that as much as I'm worried about just the car crash in general, and then also him allegedly assaulting a photographer. Like, dude, stay out of the news cycle. You were almost in the clear. Like, please, we were so close.
And he's rich and powerful. Like, he could have just gone to the bartender or something and just been like, "Hey, I don't know, bouncer. Hey, this guy is harassing me. He needs to go."
Yeah, or just like, or if you're that worried about that, like travel with an entourage, like travel
leave the
with
bar.
Like just, it just, I don't know. It just makes me.
You probably shouldn't even be in a bar. I'm going to be honest.
Like I know, like at this point, like I feel bad for like, I don't know. It just sucks. Like I hate seeing these guys get into these bad situations. It's like, I want him to succeed. He seemed like a really cool guy. Like he was like working out with Mahomes when he was at SMU. Like it really seems like the organization likes him, but like, dude, you have it right. You have like so many people dream about like becoming a star NFL receiver, and you have it. Just don't be an idiot. Like, please.
I guess
that's just why I'm disgruntled.
Does it come down to like player counseling or like?
I think there definitely has to be some version of that. I think as like, because like obviously I don't want to make a generalized statement, but like there are a decent amount of NFL players who like this was like their only escape to really succeed in life, and it's like it's hard whenever you go from not a lot to a ton of money, fame, and success in a very, very short amount of time. And not to mention, the guy's like 22, 20, like 3 years old, something like that. Like he's like the same age as us, maybe like a year older. Like it's insane to try to like imagine that somebody could just completely cope and handle all of that stuff 100% on their own.
He just turned 24. So
like he just turned 24. Like that's insane. Like that's an insane thing to just look at a 24-year-old and be like, yeah, you got to be the most mature person in the world, and all eyes are on you at all times. You can't do anything. Deal with it. It's like we got to be able to help these guys out. We got to be able to set them up for actual success and not just like on-field success kind of thing. But yeah, that's why I'm disgruntled.
Big problem.
I've been waiting for this one for a while now.
On a lighter note,
I don't know. This might be darker than everything we've talked about.
As many of you may know, I am a Sixers fan, and we just got eliminated by the New York Knicks a few days ago. And although it's sad to see the Sixers not playing in the playoffs anymore, it is a day for all Philadelphia fans to rejoice. Tobias Harris will no longer be a Philadelphia 76er after this season. Ooh. And if he is, I will no longer be a Sixers fan.
Oh, God.
Tobias Harris went out there and put up a Tony Snell number game.
I was about to say.
0 points in 30 minutes.
Yeah, you, the audience, had the same amount of points as Tobias Harris, a professional basketball player in a win-or-go-home game.
Tobias Harris is overpaid. He's not that good. He's washed. Send him to Guangdong. I hate him. You ruined our season. I hate you.
Because what was the final score of the last game? It was like it was like only a couple points, and like if Tobias Harris made like 2 shots, they could have like won.
It was 118 to 115.
Yeah, he makes 2 shots, they win the game.
Yep.
I mean, buddy, he only took 2 shots.
Oh.
Hey, if you're going to only shoot 2 shots, at least make those shots.
Yeah, you know what? At least Tobias Harris didn't get scared. At least he
Tobias Harris stat line for you guys. 29 minutes and 20 seconds played, 0 field goals made, 2 attempted, 0 3-points made, 0 3-points attempted, 0 free throws made, 0 free throws attempted, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, 0 points, no blocks, no steals, no turnovers, minus 10 on the court.
Minus 10 on the court. God damn.
Tobias, now that you're gone, I can finally say this. No, I've been saying it all season. I don't care. I wish nothing but the worst for you in the NBA, and I hope your career in China, no, screw that, Lithuania, I hope your career in Lithuania goes well. I hope you average 5, 5, and 5 because that's all you're going to be doing for the rest of your life. You are not good at basketball. Please quit while you're ahead and you're no longer allowed in the city of Philadelphia. That's all.
Amazing. Spoken like a true person from New Jersey.
Yep.
Philly Raj from Jersey.
Here's what I'll say about the Tobias Harris stuff. We talked about Tobias Harris on one podcast, and I stood up for the guy because I said, "Hey, listen, like it's not his fault that he got paid too much money. Like we should be blaming the guy Daryl Morey who paid him too much and broke up the Jimmy Butler thing. That is all true. However, and I still don't blame him for the seasons, whatever. You cannot be a guy who averages what he averages in the regular season, which, and again, it's disappointing. But this season, this is taking a little down the line. First of all, Tobias Harris is 6'8". So it's not like he's this little guy who can't get to it. Like he's 6'8", 226 pounds. He can get to his spot. He's been in the league for 12 years.
He was like blessed with the like genetics that so many people in this world would like give their heart and soul to have those genetics to be able to play basketball at that size and have the talent and have all this, but they're just not big enough. Yep. And he has that gift.
So here I'll read you off Tobias Harris' stat line from the season, which granted there's a lot of games without Joel Embiid, without Tyrese Maxey, so they're a little bit inflated, but Tobias Harris this year played 70 games. He averaged in the regular season 17 points on 49% shooting. He averaged a 3 a game on 35% three-point shooting, 88 from the free throw line. He had 6 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 turnover. When he was on the court for the year, he was a plus 3.2. When you are that guy who can average 17 in the regular season, you can't give me 0 in an elimination game, no matter what. This is whether we want to have a conversation about Tobias Harris's contract for the whole year. You can't show up or not show up in a playoff game the way you did, because 17 points is a significant contribution that is just taken away, because not even
could have
because
had
you're
6 points that you guys would have won by like a decent margin. Like,
yes, you averaged 17 points. It's just astronomical how bad he was in the postseason. In this postseason, he played 6 games. He averaged 9 points on 43% shooting, 33 from 3, less than a free throw a game, had 7 rebounds. It was a minus 1.5 on the court. So,
good Lord.
Like to go from 17 to 9, reduce your efficiency by a few percentage points, and also just only average like 0.7 free throws. Like you're not even being aggressive, and I understand there's not a lot of room for that on the team, but damn it, like yell at Nick Nurse and say, I need the ball.
Yeah.
I need to get some post touches here. I can slow the game down. When Joel Embiid's on his last life trugging down the court, you say, Joel, stand there. I got this. Back down a smaller defender. Get to your spot. If you don't like the look, pass out of it. But there was
just go find Jalen Brunson. He's like 6 foot. Like, go find him.
In the 29 minutes Tobias Harris played in Game 7, you could have told me he didn't play at all, and I would have believed you, because I didn't actually I couldn't even process anything he did on the court because he did nothing. Now, Jesus. Tobias, much improved defender, applause, but you can't be a one-sided player on the court. He's not exceptional enough at defense where I say you can be an offensive 0.
Yeah. Because you're then not. It's the plus minus game. Because then it's like, are you stopping the other team then from scoring if you're not scoring personally? And he's not doing that.
Yeah, he's a good defender. He's much improved, but not like he's not. Great example would be Jaden McDaniels for the Timberwolves. He's also a pretty good offensive player, but he's a hound defensively. One of the better defenders in the league, and so, but he's not that level of defender. So. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Raj.
Should we just get right into the Knicks? Like Knicks?
No.
We got to save it. Okay, that's
a slow build.
It's like a little treat. It's like a little treat at the end.
Yeah. Oh, not a little treat. That was Disgruntled Moment of the Week for everybody. If you like that, there's a lot more of those on our past episodes you can go listen to. Sometimes we tune into our life stuff, and sometimes it's sports related. And today it was very sports related. But going in, we're going to go through the first round of the playoffs and discuss kind of what happened. A lot of storylines coming out of that. I'm not going to be bringing down that many statistics unless it's to like prove a point, but we're just going to kind of talk about the results, what it means for the teams that lost, what it means for the teams that won. Maybe it was about the teams that lost, but like actually it was kind of a good thing for them. So starting off, we're going to talk about what the most lopsided series that happened, which is the Oklahoma City taking down the Pelicans. They won in a 4-0 sweep. The Pels kept a few games close, but other than that, it wasn't that interesting.
I honestly forgot this series was even on past like the first 2 games.
Mm-hmm. I actually thought it was going to be a closer series. One of my underrated failures is I thought the Pelicans would at least keep it to like a 6-game series, 5-6 games. Yeah. Just it wasn't. There's a few close games. I guess they could have gone the other way, but Pelicans without Zion were not intimidating enough.
Yeah.
My question,
firepower.
My question from this is: are we underestimating the 1-seeded Thunder? Because I think a lot of people are saying, "Hey, the Mavericks, they're gonna run right through this Thunder team," and I'm starting to wonder: do the Thunder have a path out the West?
I love the Mavs. I just don't know if they match up super well against the Thunder, because who is guarding Chet on the Mavs? I don't think anybody is.
Well, Max DeCleva is probably out. So he's going to be guarded by Daniel Gafford.
Shai is going to be getting Shai's going to be getting plenty of points. I hate to speak his name, but
Josh Giddey.
Mr. Josh Giddey. You can cut this out, but I was about to say Giddey for a second. I almost said it. But he will be also a very good contribution to that line. Like, I just don't know how, because damn it, because the more now that I think about it, because the Mavs are a lot more experienced in the playoffs, like, oh god, I don't know. Now I'm getting confused. Damn it. I don't know. Come back to me.
Yeah. I think it's funny because I think a lot of people are simplifying it as a series. We're talking about a future here, but I think people are simplifying it as a series of the star players. Well, of course, Luka and Kyrie are going to beat Shea and Chet. The star power isn't there, but
yeah,
that OKC roster is deep. Raj, any thoughts about if we're underestimating the Thunder?
I don't know. I feel like it's so hard with the West right now because, like, I think the Thunder are there. I don't know, because Kyrie and the Mavs could easily pop off. But then again, I like concerned about the matchup because Chet could also pop off. So I think it's going to go to like 6 or 7 for sure.
I feel like the Thunder are like taller on average. I know that's not like I know it's like strange, but like I know it's not like the biggest deal in the world, but I don't know. It's just like I feel like the way they play is just like bigger, and I don't know if and obviously I'm not saying Chet is like the biggest big man in the world. He's like a toothpick, but like just like that, how they keep the ball kind of up high, though able to like lob it and stuff. I just don't know if they have like a lot of good defense against that. Now, of course, it's Luka and Kyrie. If they really want to, they can figure it out and combine for like 80 points with each other playing. So I think some people are underestimating the Thunder. To finally roundabout answer your question, Justin, I personally am not. I still I still think they're a really dangerous team.
Yeah,
I think both teams are still good. I think I don't know who to. I don't.
You don't need to make a prediction yet.
No, it's not predictions yet.
Okay.
Yeah,
but I do think it was impressive how they handled the Pelicans first round. They treated themselves like an actual 1 seed, took care of business, and they got 8 days of rest before that OKC. We're recording this on Tuesday, the May 7th, so they get a lot of rest before that game, and that's going to come in clutch for them. But a non-eventful series that much of America did not watch.
Yeah.
Moving on to the Mavs taking down the Clippers in what felt like everybody knew the Mavs were going to beat the Clippers, despite the rosters being much closer than that. Everyone just knew Luka. He owns the Clippers and handled business. But actually, Luka didn't have a great series. He really didn't.
No.
There was a roller coaster. Obviously, Mavs take down the Clippers 4-2. Kawhi Leonard in and out of the lineup, just kind of
it's just sad.
James Harden masterclass, James Harden disaster class. like really, I think it was like
We
the
know it
most
all too well.
non-predictable series ever, besides Luka not being good.
Yeah, because it was like it seemed like it was a lot closer at first, but then it just like I feel like the Clippers just lost all of their momentum. Because I think the Clippers won Game 1. I think. And
they did, yes. They destroyed the Mavericks.
And then it was like, oh, like this is like a huge thing. But then it's like the Mavs started coming back, and it's just like it almost felt inevitable that the Mavs were going to end up winning. And then the second that I saw that in the Clippers arena, they had a poster or an advertisement that was Dallas to Cancun, I was like, there is no chance that they are winning the series. There is no way that doesn't come back to bite them in the ass, and it absolutely did. And I was like, yep, I knew it. In that moment, they lost. The second that PR person said that was a good idea to put that banner up there, they were done. They lost the series.
Yep. I love the way you said it was inevitable, because I felt very like Clippers get Game 1. Okay. It was a disaster for the Mavericks. So they got hounded defensively. Mavericks kind of come back late. We sat on the podcast that wasn't released, and I said, hey, but they kind of clicked a little bit at the end. Maybe they catch something. Okay, they get a tight Game 2, but they're steal home court figuratively. Game 3, win by 11. Game 4, you're like, oh man, it goes back to the Clippers series. And then Mavs blow them out in Game 5, handle them in Game 6. Of course, Kawhi not being there is a thing, but we'll talk about this with the Sixers series too. Kawhi's never there, so at some point you start saying, oh hey, what if Kawhi was there? But Kawhi's never there.
Yeah, it's like you could only use he was injured as an excuse for so long, when it's like, well, if he's never going to be healthy, then what's the point?
Yeah,
like you can be this amazing player, but if you can't stay on the court, then you lose. Like that's just how that works.
Yep. Luka averages 30 points on 40% shooting from the field. Not great. 24% from 3. He obviously had some calf injuries and stuff going on. That series wasn't great, but still get the job done to take down the Clippers. I guess, where do the Clippers go from here if you're looking at the roster?
They're literally a retirement home. They just need to nuke it. They need to nuke it.
I think you got to get some trade considerations for your old heads and just start rebuilding, because unfortunately, Kawhi, Harden, and PG are not taking you anywhere.
Don't forget Westbrook. He's also there.
Oh, I forgot Westbrook.
He shot
that's disrespectful.
4 for 32 over like 4 games. Who was letting him shoot? Take the ball away from him. And I love Westbrook. That was terrible.
It's a retirement home. They just need to get as many draft picks as they can and just start rebuilding.
They do. They just need to nuke it. That's why they shouldn't have traded Shy, but whatever. They're dumb.
I think this is like one of the biggest victory laps I can take out of the whole entire playoffs, is that I sat here. Not here, actually. But I sat on the podcast, and I said I didn't understand why the Clippers traded for James Harden, and it makes less sense now. They trade for him with the intent that they're going to bring in. First of all, we can have a bigger narrative about big threes right now than this, but they bring in James Harden to be a big three partner with the group. Okay, he's 34. His birthday is in August. He's going to be 35 years old going into next season. Paul George is a free agent. You just gave Kawhi a ton of money when he hasn't, honestly, I don't know if he's been healthy going into a postseason since he won the championship in 2019. And if he has been, he hasn't been like him. So.
Oh, and then don't forget Westbrook's there too.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you got Westbrook, you got, it's just a bunch of people right now that are old and not impacting the game, and they traded for another one in James Harden, and now it's like you're looking at the roster, you're like, wow, where do we go from here? Because you don't actually know where you're going to go from here, because you can't move off of Harden, I believe, because of his contract. You can't move off of Kawhi because of his contract. Paul George is a free agent, but he might walk for nothing. And then
so it's like, what was the point of this?
James Harden, everyone agrees, is especially with some of these young players balling out right now, he might not be a top 15 player in the NBA. Kawhi is not a top 10 player in the NBA right now. You could say maybe if he's healthy, but he's not giving you a full healthy season. So there's no star power on the Clippers. I think they need to nuke it, but there's no nuking it because no one wants James. So they're not going to.
Yeah, they can't nuke it. Yeah.
No one's going to trade for Kawhi because he's too injured. So you get to hope you can sign and trade in Paul George. And so yeah, I think they're in disaster land. And I just wanted to point out James Harden, and let me just see if I can pull up his game log from the series because it's just a classic James Harden game log for the playoffs.
No, don't worry. Crazy game 1 performance. Game 2 falls off. Comes back. Game 3 goes crazy. Has a decent game. Game 4 and
falls off a cliff. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Update this. Okay. Yep. So May 3rd, Dallas in a game 7, right? So let's actually go back to game 6. In game 6, when they lost by 30, James Harden played 33 minutes. He had 7 points. He was 2 of 12 and had 4 turnovers when they lost by 30. And then in a do or die with no Kawhi, game 7, James had James had 16 points on 30% shooting. He had 1 turnover. He didn't attempt a single 3-point shot.
Wait, Harden didn't attempt a single 3?
Yep.
That's diabolical. That's insane.
These are like, you can't make up some of the performances he's had, which I don't think.
And he's getting an ungodly amount of money for that.
And I want to be very clear. Like, he's had a good game. I'll give him credit. When the game they won, that was crucial. The game before to make tied series 2-2, he had 33, 6, and 7 on 70% shooting. That's nuts. It's an all-time performance.
Yeah.
But you can't just follow it up with a 7-point performance the next game on 16% shooting.
You can't just follow it up with a stinker.
Because at that point, you're just a 20-point per game scorer on good efficiency. That you're just okay. Well, if you're just
can't be getting hundreds of millions of dollars for that.
No. So just one point that I was most predictable thing. I realized that trade wasn't going to work out, and now the Clippers are about to move into Intuit Sports Dome, and they have an old ass team and no future.
Well, they're screwed. You know who else is screwed?
Yep.
The Suns, because they're a bunch of bums.
All right, take your victory lap. Go at it.
Yeah, I will. You are a moron. You are an absolute moron. I don't even know why I gave the Suns. I said the Wolves were going to win in 6. I should have said they were going to win in 2. They were terrible. The Suns were so bad the entire series. They were getting emoted on by Michael Jordan's son, a French dude, and a dude that's friends with a YouTuber. That's pathetic. That's absolutely pathetic. Kevin Durant, shave your head. You need to go bald. That patchy hair isn't even working anymore. Devin Booker, you are the biggest loser ever. People were comparing you to the next Kobe. You couldn't even hold his jockstrap. You are an absolute loser. And Bradley Beal, what do you even do? You can't even run cardio at this point. This is terrible. God, that organization's awful. Sorry.
Raj.
You're a idiot, bro. I can't believe you confidently sat there like the Suns are gonna win. Don't worry, the Timberwolves suck. Yeah, Cat fraud. Cat not Karl Anthony Towns. Anthony Edwards can't carry the team on his own. The Suns will handily beat them.
Yeah,
what happened?
I'll tell you what happened, and I'm gonna. I want to take out all Nuggets analysis because I know people watching this right now are probably like the Timberwolves are rolling the Nuggets. I want to I'm taking out the Nuggets series right now because I understand that if they roll through the Nuggets, it looks better for the Suns. Every single one of those games in that series looked the exact same because the Timberwolves simply wanted it more. The entire series. Every single time they came out there, it looked like, I think I put it in our group chat, the Suns were like, guys, Timberwolves, stop. We're playing too hard. Like, there's a Devin Booker video of him at the open gym.
Stop double teaming. We don't do that here.
We don't do that in open runs. That literally was reflected in this 4-game series because they looked like they were like, the Timberwolves, you can't be trying this hard. It's the NBA. Like, we don't play basketball that. Like, no, we don't play physical basketball, guys. We don't do that. And that's what they look like the entire series in every game. They come out in game 1 and get their bases kicked in. And I was like, okay, that kind of makes sense, right? The Suns dominated the regular season matchup. They came in, took the Timberwolves a little bit lightly. They were on the road. They get their teeth kicked in. Fine. Surely, Devin Booker's terrible. Surely, game 2 will be different, right? And Grayson Allen gets injured this game, but Devin Booker.
Oh, thank points. God, Grayson Allen really bringing them together.
No, I'm just bringing it up. But Devin Booker 20, Bradley Beal 14, Kevin 18. They're your big 3. You need one of them to go above 20.
They don't deserve a memorial. They don't deserve a memorial.
They don't. And then, so they lose game 2. Not really that close. Anthony Edwards crapped all over their head. Game 3. Okay, surely. Okay, this is me thinking, right? The series never really starts until you lose at home, right? Well, they lost at home by a lot in game 3. They lose by 17 points at home. And the big 3 kind of play well. Devin's got 23. I don't know the shooting percentages here. Devin's got 23, Bradley 28, Kevin 25. Like, okay, they still get their teeth kicked in because good old Anthony Edwards had 36 for them. All right, now we flash forward. Okay, you're not going to win the series at this point, but can you just make it? Can you just redeem in game 4? Nope.
A gentleman's sweep.
Because simply Anthony Edwards wanted it more than you guys. He has 40 points in a closeout game that Devin Booker has nearly 50 in, but Bradley Beal could only muster up 9 points. And the moral of the
lighter flick right now because Anthony Edwards smoked on the Suns pack that entire series.
Moral of the story was Timberwolves scored 120 in game 1. 105 and 2 was an outlier. 126 and 122. They couldn't defend them. And why couldn't they defend them? Because they didn't want to be physical. And I said before the series in my clip when I said that the Suns were going to win in 5, that I thought the question about the series would be how the Suns were going to match up with them defensively. And it didn't matter about the matchups because they actually just didn't want to play defense. And that's what it came down to. They didn't want to play against the Timberwolves. The Timberwolves are a ferocious defense. They're extremely long. They fly around the court. They contest every single shot. They're physical. They'll get up in your grill. But the Suns didn't have answers for that. And honestly, it's disappointing for a team that prides itself on shot making and all that type of stuff. Like, that's super uncharacteristic. So the Suns should be embarrassed. And what's even more embarrassing is now there's all this talk about, do you trade Kevin? Do you trade Beal? Where do you go from here? It's like, you just put the band together. Just put them together. Everyone was injured all year. And the fact that they're like, it should have been ironclad from everyone. No, we're not panicking. We're not panicking. Instead, it's like, time to panic. And it's like, I mean, I think the Suns should panic. Absolutely. But that's not what I want to hear from the owner who just put this team together. That's not what I want to hear from the GM who just you can't put together Bradley. Kind of people told you it's a bad idea to get Bradley Beal number 1. That was a general consensus, was that it might have not been a great idea to get him. A lot of people at the time were questioning that decision. Whatever, you go out and get him. You put the 3 out there. You trade 8 and whatever, and it just doesn't work out well at all. And now I feel like the whole ownership is pressing the alarm button, and I'm just like, people could have said this.
Lie. Oh, sorry. Continue.
No, I'm just saying.
I'm gonna go.
I'm just saying there was question marks and concerns early on in the year. They thought they were smarter than everyone. Thought they could bring the big 3 and do all that type of stuff. And now they're suddenly like, maybe we didn't do the right thing. It's like, you're in ownership, I want you to stand on business and say, listen, this was not a great series, but we're going to come back next year, make a little bit of tweaks around the roster, and we're going to show that Bradley Beal, Devin Booker, and Kevin Durant can compete with the best of them. I mean, it was not long ago that we were saying Devin Booker was a bona fide top 10 NBA player.
Yeah.
And now, what is he? 16, 17?
He's
averaged 27 points in the regular season. He played like a bum too. He was bad. His body language was bad. I'm a big Devin Booker guy. His body language was terrible the entire series. Didn't seem like he really wanted to play defense. Crying offensively. It was bad.
Well, look, at the end of the day, I think that in this case, this is one of those examples where attitude reflects leadership. The organization didn't really have it didn't really seem like they had a ton of vision. It was just like, all right, we're just going to bring some guys in and they'll figure it out. And there wasn't really a vision, and not going to lie, they didn't really bring in any tough guys for the playoff runs. Don't get me wrong, Kevin Durant is a probably top 10 player of all time when all said and done. But he's not, and he does absolutely have that killer mentality, but he needs to be on a team that also has those guys. Let's be very clear, because Devin Booker is not one of those guys. He's just not. He's a great player. He doesn't have that same like dog mentality. He doesn't have it.
Kevin Durant has 2 rings, and the tone setter of those teams that he won rings on was not Kevin Durant.
No, it was. You could argue it was either Iguodala, Draymond Green.
You can argue. I would say I would say the tone setters of that team: Draymond at the top, Steph at 2, Iggy at 3, and maybe Clay. Kevin Durant was setting no tone.
Yeah, he was just like, he would show up and just nail shots and like utterly insane. Let's be very clear. That team was ridiculously good. But Kevin Durant as a player is not the kind of guy that's going to lead a team. He's going to be like basically a number 1 option, but you need another guy to like really set the tone for that team. Like if you put Kevin Durant with Anthony Edwards, they are going to be disgusting together. Because Anthony Edwards is going to do everything in his power to win that game, no matter what happens. And then he's going to be able to chuck it out to Kevin Durant, who's going to make some ridiculous play and be able to score. Like that's the kind of guy that Kevin Durant needs to be surrounded with. And a guy like Devin Booker and Bradley Beal, those are not the kind of people to be surrounding him with. So it just kind of reflected the organization as a whole, and they just absolutely bed. And then the second that things went wrong, we're not playing defense. We're panicking. It's all over. We can't win like this. So we need to blow it up. Like, I hate to say it makes sense, but it really does.
They're really hoping, in my opinion, that the Timberwolves, and they might do it, but they might go on to win the NBA Finals. That's the best case scenario for the Suns, so that you can say, well, guys, we just got bone rushed by the 2024 NBA champions. Look, they just swept Denver. What did you want us to do?
Yeah, what do you want us to do?
And I would tend to agree with them, but that's like the best case scenario for them because there's just no, like it was 4-2.
Yeah.
And I know people want to say the regular season doesn't matter. I do believe the regular season matters. This is a matchup the Suns dominated in the regular season, which shows me that they didn't bring the energy to the playoffs. Like the Timberwolves upped their energy in their game preparation, and the Suns didn't because they could have at least gotten 2 games.
Absolutely, but they did not because they're a bunch of bums.
Yeah, it's a bad look, and it's a bad take on my end. It's one of the worst of all time.
Speaking of bad takes,
Dude, this is not a good segment for you.
Can I say something first?
Yes.
The reason this is not as bad of a take is not only did I say the Lakers would win in 7, but the reason this is not a bad take is I still feel like a lot of what I said about the series came true. It was just every single end game like every time the Lakers needed to actually close the deal, they didn't, and that was predictable. Obviously, we're talking about the Nuggets beating the Lakers 4-1.
So, didn't you have the Lakers in the finals?
Well, okay, I will be clear. I still think the Lakers are the second best team in the West. Well, I mean, this is getting complicated by the Timberwolves situation coming in there, but we're taking out this Timberwolves season. I still believe, like last year, the Lakers are the second best team in the West. They just ran into the first best team in the West. And then the Nuggets own the Lakers. Listen, Lakers led 70% of the series. They led every single first quarter. Every time the first quarter ended, the Lakers were up. They led most half times. They're always up in the third quarter. They were up 20 in game 2. They lost on a Jamal Murray game winner. They lose in game 5 on a Jamal Murray game winner. Every game was super close, and that's where I feel like hand up. Like I predicted the series wrong, but I don't feel as if I just watched the product and was like, man, I just missed the boat. I'm like, oh, a few things swing the right way. The Lakers are going into a game 7 with the Nuggets. Whereas the Suns series, I'm just like, they're just completely wrong.
It's a valid take. You're still very wrong.
Oh, I was still very wrong. I mean, I said the Lakers were going to win the series and go on the next round, and that didn't happen. But I do like for anybody watching this, If you want to see, it's funny. Like if last year we said that the margin of victory for the Nuggets was 6 games. I mean, 6 points over 4 games. And if you want to see something that was just as close, you could watch the Nuggets beat the Lakers in 2024 in a 5-game series. That consisted of 2 Jamal Murray game winners. One that was an actual like time expiring game winner.
One was a dagger to like put him away. Like I 100% like I totally understand where you're coming from, because like the Denver Nuggets play like such bad basketball for 3.5 quarters against the Lakers, and then that last like 6 minutes of basketball is the best basketball you've ever seen in your life, solely against the Lakers. They will do it against no other team, but they will make sure that you will watch the dumbest crap you have ever seen go into that basket, whether you like it or not. Because like the Jamal Murray fade away jumper over Anthony Davis to win the game. Are you kidding me? That shot does not go in 9 times out of 10. But that was the one time. And it's going to go in every single time because it's Denver against the Lakers. And they just will refuse to lose to them. It's so funny.
The Lakers can never stop the Nuggets in the fourth quarter. Like defensively, like I just don't know what it is about the Nuggets. They just get to their spots, and I think taking some lessons from the Timberwolves series, it's the Lakers just aren't physical enough with them. They don't have the athlete. They don't have the athletes necessary, the length to disturb Jamal Murray. And every single fourth quarter looked the exact same. Jamal would dribble it up the court. They'd run a pick and roll. They might dump it off to Jokic. They might have Jamal take it. They have a bunch of role players. Michael Porter Jr. very good, and the Lakers just don't have the athletes for it, and they'll have to answer a lot of questions. Like we said earlier, Darvin Ham gets fired. There's obviously roster concerns there. I personally think the Lakers' biggest problem, and I love LeBron, and LeBron had a good series, is that they can't keep paying LeBron like he's a top 5 guy in the league.
Yeah,
because I think he can play at top 5 level sometimes, but
he can't play like not all the time. Yeah.
Like if you watch a guy like Anthony Edwards play right now, he is going out there, and we barely talked about Anthony Edwards for the Suns series. This is how much stuff we have to talk about on the podcast. But when you watch him, he's playing 40 minutes of intense basketball on both sides of the court, high usage rate. LeBron doesn't have that. I mean, Anthony Edwards is playing 40 minutes a game at altitude. LeBron James is second wind at altitude. And that's okay. Yeah. He's 39 years old. I don't blame him. He's still a great basketball player, still the GOAT. But we can't keep taking up 60 is excessive, $50 million of the cap space on LeBron James, because you can't pay him like he's your one. Anthony Davis is not good enough to be your 2, and they just don't have the athletes on the team necessary. So I don't know. I would love for him to come to Philadelphia, and that's just not as a Sixers fan. I think it's a good fit there. But
LeBron and Giannis are coming to New York.
I have to be honest. Like I think there's a 0% chance LeBron is not on the Lakers. I think he will be a Laker next year. I think it'll be him, Anthony, and some other guys.
He goes wherever Bronny gets drafted. Let's be real.
No,
because then they're gonna pull. Well, right. Either A, he won't get drafted. B, they're just gonna pull like an Eli Manning and then just refuse to go somewhere, and then some other team is gonna like draft him that he actually wants to go there.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's just funny like seeing this whole Lakers Nuggets series play out, because it just looked the exact same as last year, except the Lakers got a little bit better. Well, like the games were a little bit closer, and the Lakers won a game.
I guess because like the Lakers won a game. Yeah, it was just like it was very similar to like that Mavs thing, where it was like the Nuggets were inevitable. Like at no point did I really feel like the Lakers were going to win that series. After watching the Jamal Murray like buzzer beater, I'm like, nope, they lost. This is the series. It's over.
Once game 2 happened, like I think I knew the Lakers lost the series when they were up 20, and I watched the game get jumped to 10, because the game didn't even need to end, and I said I felt when the Lakers were up 20 in game 2 that they were going to lose the game, and at that point I knew the Lakers had lost the series, and they did. Yep. They the 20-point lead evaporated out of thin air, and the Nuggets want to hit a game winner. And that's just because they made the plays down the stretch. They don't get rattled, and the Lakers do. They don't have the talent. They don't have the shot making. So hats off to the Nuggets. I think that's like a challenging first round matchup for it. I think they're paying for it now against the Timberwolves.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's another awful take by me.
Lovely.
Yeah. We'll keep pointing them out. We're gonna speed. Go ahead.
Oh, I was about to say here was a decent take by everybody that the Celtics were gonna win. Who would have thought?
Transition. Oh yeah, who would have thought? Yeah, we're gonna breeze through this. What everyone expected. Of course, the Heat get one game that they hit drill 23 threes. Ridiculous. Big problem from this. Kristaps Porzingis goes down with that like dreaded calf injury that you think is Achilles, and if he plays on it, is it gonna get an Achilles?
I don't think it is, but it's still like he might be out for the rest of the playoffs. I think.
He's out for the entire next series. Could come back for the finals.
Maybe
next series, but we'll see going forward. I don't anticipate there being much of a problem with the Cavs without him. So I'm not too concerned. But again, went as expected. This wouldn't be a podcast episode if I didn't want to talk about the Heat. So I'm going to talk about the Heat.
Oh my God! Here we go.
And I think there's been some reporting on this. The Heat have to stop this whole thing. Every year since the bubble, they watched playoff Jimmy come in for the bubble and dominate. They said, wait, guys, let's recapture that. If we hit lightning in a bottle again, we can make the finals or maybe win the finals. 2021, lightning in a bottle doesn't happen. 2022, lightning in a bottle doesn't happen. 2023, you get back to the finals. Nuggets beat you, you lose. 2024 comes around. You try to hit lightning in a bottle. One player gets injured, which again, he's your star player, but you have nothing after that point. And honestly, you were limping into the playoffs anyway as the 8th seed after the Sixers took you out in the play-in game. So at this point going forward, I understand Heat culture. I understand people who like it. I'm not trying to just I don't like the Heat. But you cannot come back next season and say, okay, guys, Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo, they're going to get us there. Because they're not. Like, it's every single year, and you're just like, you just keep hoping that things will eventually break your way. It's not going to happen. The East was. Yeah. I know you ran into the Celtics. The East was bad this year, bad all year, and you were relatively healthy. Besides Jimmy, who's always injured. Besides that, you were a relatively healthy team, and you still were the 8th seed. Joel Embiid is going to win his second MVP this year. Goes down for 30 games. They still make the playoffs as a higher seed than you. And I would say it's not a big deal, except for the fact that it completely affected, number one, Jimmy, who got injured at the end of the year, probably because he was working his ass off at the end of the year when you didn't want him to. And number two, it affected your playoff matchup and how far you could get in the playoffs. If they're the 7th seed, we're thinking a lot differently if they're playing the Knicks, the series with a healthy Jimmy Butler. And if they're the 3 seed, God forbid, they're playing the Pacers, which I think everyone would have taken the Heat over the Pacers. So just a time for the Heat to need to move on.
Yeah, they kind of got to nuke their team as well at this point.
And they got to figure it out. There's some reports that Jimmy wants out of Miami. I can't say that on the podcast, but I would be very upset and do bad things if the Sixers went after Jimmy Butler.
I see what you're saying. Yeah, Jimmy returns to the Sixers and loses yet again.
I hate that so much for the Sixers. But
watch, it's gonna happen, dude. It's gonna happen. I can't wait till this clip is gonna be posted on our Instagram that you should all go follow. And when that happens,
great plug. 15 minutes into the podcast, I'm sure everyone's still listening.
I know, right? And then Justin just loses his absolute mind. I can't wait for it.
Sounds about right.
God, and this is another one of the the first round was really good, in my opinion, despite some of the blowouts. But a great series is Cavs Magic that just no one cared about. It was
it turned out to be a decent series that nobody watched.
But here's the weird thing: Game 1, Cavs are at home. And I'm going to pull up the series.
Just pull it up
because I just want to detail how bad some of these blowouts were, because it's truly crazy. Okay. Where are we going here?
I mean, that's what happens when you put just an entire series on, like, what was it, on NBA TV or something, so that like nobody could watch it.
Mm-hmm.
Alrighty. Game 1, the Cavs win by 14. I promise you it was worse than that.
I was watching worse,
it. It was, Second game, they lose by 38. Oh, yeah, sorry. That was game 3. Game 2, the Cavs win by 10. Okay. But again, it was worse than that. I got close at the end. Game 3, going back to Orlando, they're down 2-0. They beat the Cavs by 38 points at home. Game 4, they win by 23. Game 5, now it's 4 straight blowouts. Not a close game in sight. Game 5, Cleveland ekes out 104-103. Paolo has 40 points. Evan Mobley has a game-winning block on Franz Wagner, who went for the game-winning layup. What a game. Game 6, Orlando fighting for their lives back in Orlando, is a 107-96 game. Donovan Mitchell has 50 points in a loss.
And loses, yeah.
And you're like, oh my, you're like, this is a series. Now, they always say that the series doesn't start until the home team loses. Well, I guess the series never started because you go to game 7 in Cleveland. It's a close game throughout. The Orlando Magic are beating the brakes off of Cleveland in the second quarter. Like, it's over, essentially, at that point. You're just like, it's done. Cavs come roaring all the way back on Donovan Mitchell's 40-point performance. They win by 12 at home. It is
amazing.
4 blowouts sandwiched by 2 all-time classic games, and then a game at the end where the Magic were up by 20-some points, and Cleveland comes all the way back to win by a comfortable margin. Like, just insane. the weirdest series I've seen in a long time. I said before I thought the Cavs would win completely on like having the advantage expertise. Obviously, Jerry Allen has some games I think that did affect things with his bruised rib, but still, like, crazy. I'm glad the series turned out to be fun because I think it made some more basketball viewing pleasure. Paolo Banchero got a lot more time on the screen, and a lot of people got to see him, and I think that's awesome when you get to more young players.
Absolutely.
I think we talked about it the episode. People don't talk about it. Paolo Banchero is really good. He's been good since he entered the league.
Yeah.
We're obviously in a league that doesn't really care about the draft as much anymore, and I understand why, but like, since we don't care about the draft, I don't think people realize that Paolo is the number 1 overall pick and has been playing really well as a number 1 overall pick. I'm trying to figure out how much that Magic game, how much exactly they were up, because they were up by a lot at that one point. But anyway, that was the Cavs Magic series. Any takeaways?
I didn't watch a single second of it.
I have no idea what happened.
Fair enough.
Which, like, I feel like that's like the best kind of description for this series is one guy retelling it to everybody else saying, you guys don't understand how good this series was. And everyone's like, oh, I didn't even know they were playing. That's kind of exactly what happened.
Just this weird series. Anyway, another weird series is the Pacers beat the Bucks because Giannis doesn't play the entire series. Dame misses a lot of the series. I don't want to talk much about the series. Tyrese Halliburton wasn't good. A lot of stuff. Here's what things I wanted to talk about. Number 1, Game 5 debacle. Pacers up 3-1. No Dame, no Giannis. Bucks win.
How do they win? How?
That's
Bobby Portis, man.
That's absolute malpractice. And even for a team that's to go up against the Knicks the next round, like the 1 day extra, 2 days extra of rest would have been huge. Instead, you have to go back home and play the Bucks again because you couldn't handle the team. That's the first thing I want to mention. It's an all-time playoff embarrassment because you just completely cleared the talent gap there. Number 2, Doc Rivers. I'm pissed off because I know he's going to get a pass for this. He gets a pass for everything in his damn life, everything that he's ever done in the league, and he's going to be like, guys, what was I supposed to do?
I didn't have Giannis. I didn't have Dame. We were terrible. There's nothing I could have done.
Here's his exit interview. Ready? Someone give him a question. Hey, Doc Rivers, Justin Curtis reporting from ESPN. I just wanted to say, like, how would you evaluate the job you did this season? I mean, obviously you didn't get to where you wanted to go, but how do you evaluate the job you did? Yeah, great question, Justin. Obviously, like, I took over a team in the middle of the year, which is really hard to do. And, it was a little bit rocky, but, we were able to be the 3rd seed in the playoffs, and I think that's really good. And then when we got into the playoffs, my number one star player, MVP, top 10 player, when it's all said and done all time, he unfortunately hurt his calf going into the playoffs. So at that point, we really stood no chance, and everyone in the media counted us up. And just when I thought things were going good and we won game 1, Dame hurt himself. So, I'm to be honest, Justin, I don't really know what you expected from me or this team, but, I was proud of the boys. That's exactly what he's going to say. Probably what he's already said. Everyone's going to be like, Doc, you know what? You're right. What were you supposed to do? And I don't know. Get out of the league. Go sit on a bench somewhere and call games. It's ridiculous. Obviously, Doc Rivers couldn't have won this series, but the Milwaukee Bucks weren't exactly coming into the playoffs as world beaters.
Yeah,
they finished 3 games better than the Sixers, who the MVP of the league was out for 30 games. They weren't going good. They're just
the fact that the Knicks were able to jump them to the 2 seed was ridiculous. That never should have happened.
Bananas.
Never should have happened.
It matters so. That stuff matters so much, and I just hope they don't rehire.
It really does. And look, I love my Knicks, but they were using the power of friendship the entire time. There's no reason why one of the best shooters of our generation, and Damian Lillard, probably would be the best shooter if Steph Curry didn't exist. And then one of the best players we've ever seen on a basketball court in Giannis. They were healthy during the regular season, and then they fell from the 2 seed to the 3 seed to the Villanova Knicks.
And I know this is playing revisionist history, going back, changing points, thinking things will change, but Giannis hurt himself at the end of the season again because he was playing really hard at the end of the season because they were down games. Now, I'm not saying it's Doc Rivers' fault that Giannis hurt his calf, but it's reasonable to say that if he did a better job coaching the team earlier in the year and they didn't have to play every game like it was their last, Giannis might have been able to relax a little bit at the end of the year. He wouldn't have hurt himself, and then it would have been a healthy Bucks team against a Sixers team who was clearly depleted because of their star player, and we're about to talk about that series. And they could have probably beaten the Sixers, and instead it would be the Knicks and the Pacers playing in the first round, which I still think the Knicks would have won, but it's a different series, and the Bucks potentially would get to see the Knicks in round 2.
Which they would destroy the Knicks. With a healthy Giannis and Dame, they would win, period.
But because the Bucks had to play every game like it was their last because they didn't create any margin for error. So
exactly.
Thoughts on I don't know if you guys watch the series much, but any thoughts on the Pacers?
They looked shaky too.
Yeah.
They weren't playing as well as they should have been to win this series.
They're very hot and cold. When they're on, they look unstoppable. When they're off, a JV team can beat them. It's very weird. It's just strange to watch.
Yeah, it's very concerning because again, that I don't want to look in too much to that the game 5 they lost, but you can't have those stinkers against more seasoned playoff teams. You can't do that against the team they're playing up Knicks. You can't do that. You can't have that type of that performance. So Tyrese Halliburton does not look the same as when he did earlier in the year. I think that's a really big problem because you're going to need him. And Siakam, I thought looked like that guy, and that's awesome. But if Siakam's your number one option, I don't really love your chances. So, yep, that's what I got to say about that.
All right,
Siakam
now
in that
to
series
the big
averaged
series.
22. I mean, Tyrese Halliburton averaged 16 points. That's just got to be better on 40% shooting. Anyway, okay.
Let's do it.
Let's
get
do
the
it.
Big one. Bing bong.
Bing bong. You get to say this, Peter. You get to say it. I'll give you it.
Okay. So, lovely. Here it is. Here we are. Didn't think we were going to be here at the beginning. We all predicted that the Sixers were going to win at the beginning. But as it turns out, the power of friendship and the Villanova Knicks and possibly some help from the refs definitely got the Knicks through in 6 games to beat the Philadelphia 76ers. It was a great series. Let me be clear. This was absolutely the best series out of the first round. This was clearly like I would probably say like third and fourth best teams probably in the East, maybe even second and third best teams in the East, just beating the crap out of each other for 6 games. It was so entertaining to watch because I feel like what happened like early on, it was like Jalen Brunson wasn't playing well, and then the role players stepped up. But just as Justin said at one point, that the role players would step up a lot on when you're at home, but then on the road, you're going to need your star players to step up, and that's exactly what happened. So great call there, Justin. Obviously, with your amazing analysis as per usual. But
great predictions, great analysis. What more can I do?
Yeah, definitely. It was just such a good series. Like I am very glad that Joel Embiid, as banged up as he was, did play every game, because that would have felt kind of like weird if he didn't. If like, oh well, the Knicks won. Okay, well without Joel Embiid, like literally the entire part of their offense, it was just awesome. Tyrese Maxey is so good at basketball. He's so good. Like I can't speak highly enough about Tyrese Maxey. But of course, I'll also talk about my Knicks a little bit. My boys, obviously, my glorious Pookie Bear, my greatest player of all time, Jalen Brunson. He has brought life back into the city of New York basketball. You have Josh Hart, who is the professional glue guy who can just hit shots and remembered how to shoot threes this series. And Dante DiVincenzo, the man that ended racism in his Maryland or Delaware town. I forget where he was. These three are just so good. And we got 2 big men up front that were hammering the offensive rebounds. Like they were like just obliterating the Sixers on offensive rebounds. I can't stress, I've never seen a team do stuff like this before. Justin, I don't know how you feel about that. I'm sure you're going to get into it eventually. But when it came to offensive rebounds, it was night and day compared like the Sixers versus the Knicks. It was literally just pure heart. 2 teams with just all heart playing against each other. The fan bases were so toxic. I absolutely loved it. The Knicks got bailed at one point. Then the Sixers also got bailed at one point by the refs. Obviously, the refs are going to be terrible no matter what. But of course, as we always say, if you're complaining about the refs, like swinging a game, you shouldn't have put yourself in that situation. So, bing bong, happy the Knicks won. Sixers fans, what are our thoughts?
As banged up as our team was all season, proud of our guys for pushing it that far. I'm glad Tobias is gone. Very glad. Let's see. I was a little confused with some of Nick Nurse's decisions. I know Buddy Hield wasn't playing as well the earlier games, but he never really let him start to get going ever until our last game. So maybe, Buddy Hield's a great shooter. Maybe give him more minutes over Tobias. And then Paul Reed should never see a basketball court. That was really bad. I don't know why he spoke up and said anything. As soon as he said something, I'm like, this man's going to cost us the series.
Oh,
yeah. And honestly, it did suck losing, but we're as banged up. Embiid was playing with half a face and half a knee.
I feel like this series was nowhere near as bad as last year in Boston, where yes, I feel like this Sixers team overall was better than last year, but the way that these games were played, it was clear that they still there was never a time where I doubted the Sixers were out of a game. They fought hard through the entire series, and look, some things just didn't go their way. The Knicks hit some stupid shots, it just happens.
Yeah, I think to analyze and to tell the outcome of the series for the Sixers is to tell the entire story of the season. So we started the season with James Harden on the roster.
Yeah, true.
And you get rid of him for role players. You kind of okay, you're going to go with this Maxey and Embiid. A lot of people thought the Sixers were going to make really big trade deadline moves to get in the third, so they end up rolling with their guys. Okay, Joel Embiid's on track. He's putting up. I hope people don't forget the stupid stuff that Joel Embiid was doing early in the season. He was ridiculous. He was running away. This was Carson Wentz in 2017, 2018, going to win the MVP award until Carson tore his ACL, until Embiid ripped his MCL. Well, he didn't rip his MCL, but he tore one of his menisci in his knee. Okay, so he's out for 30 games. He comes back a little bit before the playoffs. The Sixers are on a huge run again. And then in game 1, when the Sixers are winning, Embiid throws a ball off the backboard and hyperextends his left knee. And right at that moment, I said, they were done. We were already coming into the season having a starting lineup of Tyrese, Lowry, Oubre, Embiid, Harris, who hadn't played many minutes together. Sixers also had injuries. Robert Covington, important rate player, and Anthony Melton, who is the starting shooting guard next to Tyrese Maxey, were out this year. I'm not saying injuries are why we lost the series, but we are having our starting shooting guard, a guy who would have totally guarded Jalen Brunson, is like 6'6", has long arms, would have defended Jalen well, but whatever. But they come into the season, they come into the playoffs, not well battle tested with that lineup. Embiid's not in shape. He hurts his knee in game 1. In game 1, when the Sixers lost by 10, that was 7 points was the final score. Joel Embiid, whoever won, shit on him pretty much for having a terrible game. He shot 36% from the field and he had 29 points. Wasn't a great game. It was plus 14 on the court. Nicholas Batum, who played 25 minutes, was a minus 20 on the court. Paul Reed, who played 11 minutes, was a minus 21 on the court. Buddy Hield was a minus 16 on the court. When you have routinely those type of performances from the bench, you're going to lose the game. Josh Hart has the game of his life in game 1. The Sixers lose. In game 2, you're still not playing that well. You're getting out-hustled all over the place, but it's not as bad as game 1. Game 1 was the Sixers were offensive. It was we are lucky it was that close. It was really, really rough. In game 2, Joel Embiid, who's still not great, shoots 41% from the field. He has 34 points. He doesn't go well from the free throw line. He's plus 3 on the court. And this is not as dramatic, but even if you go to the bench, Paul Reed, who played 8 minutes, was a minus 6. Buddy Hield, who played 14.
Wait, how are you a minus 6 when you've only played for 8 minutes? It's like you get on the court and they immediately just start scoring.
Yes. Buddy Hield plays for 14 minutes, minus 3. Batum plays for 32 minutes, minus 6. The Sixers lose in a game that the refs blew. And we talked about that on the podcast, I believe, last time. Did we?
Yeah, well, that was on
we did.
The forgotten episode.
Oh, yeah. So that will eventually be posted. But general take is that the Sixers put the game in the refs' hands because they didn't execute well in the game. Joel Embiid doesn't have a great game, but then for this game, Embiid gets in Bell's palsy. And this is where I want to stop analyzing the stats and analyze this. You can say whatever you want about Joel Embiid not playing well in the playoffs. Please add the caveat that he's always injured. Because you can say as a whole, Embiid is cannot be a number 1 option because he's always injured in the playoffs. Cool, I'm done. I'm here for that. To completely subscribe to that. I'm very concerned about the Sixers' chances of ever making the NBA Finals with Joel Embiid, simply because I've never seen him be injured and healthy an entire playoff run, except for the year they lost to Boston in the first round of the bubble, and Ben Simmons broke his back, and that he had 3 months off before that. So that's the only time he's ever been healthy for a playoff series. Even game 2 of the Toronto Raptors series, when Kawhi hit the stupid front rim shot, he came out with the flu in game 2. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. Mm-hmm. At that point in the series, Embiid is playing. He's got Bell's palsy. He's having migraines. His knee hurts because he's hyperextended. It looks like he's on
every drug on the planet where he just they have all sorts of painkillers pumped into him.
And then what did Joel Embiid do in game 3? He had one. He had 50 points. He had 50 points on 68% shooting. Shot 21 free throws. Played 40 minutes in a must-win game 3.
That's disgusting.
And that was the biggest blowout of the entire series. Yeah. Game 4. This is for the Sixers to tie things up. This is where the Knicks have the big advantage, and Jalen Brunson gets things going. He has 47 points on 50% shooting, and that's what did the Sixers in. Because at that point forward, they were playing catch up. I want to credit the Knicks role players. They played out of their minds. We'll see how the Pacers series goes. I don't think the Pacers are that big of a threat. They had a lot of luck from those role players. I do not know if Josh Hart will ever play that good again, but also the Sixers allowed them to do that. So
True.
I'll give credit to the Knicks. But that was one of the most fun first round series. Again, this is just another thing. Game 1, 7-point Knick victory felt closer. Game in some free throws. Game 2, Knicks win by 3. It was even closer than that, which is shocking to say. It was closer than 3 points.
Yeah, it was.
Philly wins by 11 in game 3. Okay. Knicks win by 5 in game 4. Sixers win by 6 in game 5, and then game 6 in Philly, New York wins by 3. Like it's these tiny margins. It was an electric series. It gave me heart pain and everything between. I'm excited for the off season and excited to see where the Sixers go from here.
I would also like to clarify that which game was going on during actual graduation? Was that game 4?
That was
4.
Was it? Yeah.
Or was that the final?
Game 4, yeah. Yeah, it was game 4.
Yeah. It was game 4. Yeah, I remember watching that, and it was just back and forth.
Yeah,
it was just the audience, entire time.
For the audience, graduation started at 1. The game started at 1.
So it was like while we're listening to thousands of people get their names read, just on the phone, looking at ESPN, trying to get the updates for what's going on with the game. It was insane. Side note, I'm also so happy that Knicks fans are now back to being insane. They are so funny. I mean, it does suck for, don't get me wrong, it does absolutely suck for Sixers fans, but I do see that there's going to be something, because you still have Tyrese Maxey, who's incredible. Embiid,
I have another narrative coming out of this game.
Oh, you know what? Just go.
Okay. I want you to hold on to that thought. I want the NBA media to stop anointing players as the new face of the league and like budding superstar before it actually happens. Like it bothered. I listened because I've been home. I've had little to do, so I'm sitting here watching these sports shows, and everybody after Tyrese Maxey is like ridiculous. Like people have forgotten all this. Tyrese Maxey, literally, team on his back gets this team to overtime in game 5. Pretty much saves the season, gives us another shot. Great news because we had another banger in game 6 that ended in heartbreak. But Tyrese Maxey had a great game. Everyone was quick to anoint him. Like I heard literal people saying, having the face, we love to have the face of the league conversation. That's ESPN's favorite thing to do. Face of the league conversation. I heard someone say, hey, maybe Tyrese Maxey. Everyone just adopts this popular mindset that Tyrese Maxey is really good. Tyrese Maxey is really good. But then for a player, like I hate being the guy to say this. They started overestimating how good Tyrese Maxey was. And in game 6, what he did was he had counting a must-win game. He had 17 points on 33% shooting, 1 of 6 from 3. Minus 4 on the court. I'm not trying to blame Tyrese Maxey for the loss at all, but this I hate when the media does this, where it's just we just take guys because they had a good game on national television and it's the New York media and say that guy might be the next guy to leave. I agree. I think Tyrese and Joel. Tyrese is a kid. He's practically our age. I think he's 23. So, he's got plenty of room to go. I think him and Embiid next year are the 1-2 for sure. But I had people out there pretty much convinced Tyrese Maxey was a top 10 player in the league.
It's the way people are talking about it. I'm
like, slow your roll. Jalen Brunson clearly is a better basketball player than Tyrese Maxey. And that was not what the conversation was heading out of game 5. But I'm tired of people anointing. People anointed Anthony Edwards last year because they were like, oh, this is Michael Jordan's kid and everything like that. Now it's fine to anoint him, but he wasn't that guy last year.
People always try to jump the gun, and then they jump the gun and anoint somebody as the new face of the league. And then whenever they're not ready for that mantle yet, they then bag on them for not being the face of the league and drag them down, only to them have them try to come back to actually get the mantle. But then it's we know in the past we can't trust them. They can't do it in the playoffs. Meanwhile, they're 22, 23 years old. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. And if they want to anoint them the face of the league, cool. But then I want you to, and on your ESPN show to talk about why the narrative keeps being that Joel Embiid can't win in the playoffs, can't get out of the second round. When is Joel Embiid going to make a conference finals? It wasn't that Tyrese Maxey shit the bed in Game 6. That wasn't the narrative. And I don't think it should be the narrative, but then don't say he's the face of the league and carried this team.
Exactly.
So that bothered me. Okay, Peter, go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying that Sixers fans, this probably hurt, but you'd still have plenty of hope going forward. Obviously, Tobias Harris.
Whole lot of cap space. Whole lot of cap
space. Tobias Harris is getting sent to the moon. You still have Joel Embiid. You still have Tyrese Maxey. You got Buddy Hield there. Like, you got some good players.
Yeah, he's free agent.
Okay, well, I think you could keep him around for like a cheap kind of contract. Like, I think that there's still plenty that the Sixers can do going forward.
God, I need to do maybe my passion project this break will be to rewatch all the games and do a in-game analysis of each every time we talk about a player, I'm like, let's not forget Buddy Hield, who nearly carried the Sixers on his back in Game 6 just to be outdone by Josh Hart hitting another game-winning 3 to win. Every game was just absolute crack.
That series was so good. Oh, my God. It was so good.
Buddy Hield, who barely played at all, had 6 threes.
Yeah.
He was plus 12 on the court.
He couldn't miss. He physically could not miss if he tried.
Just what a series. What a series. So, congrats, New York.
Sports
are better when you have these matchups.
Oh,
it's
absolutely.
Awesome. Everyone talked about it, and it was just a great time.
It's so good for the league when New York teams are better, and especially then when those New York teams go up against diehard fan bases like in Philly.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it's so good for the league because everybody was talking about it.
Yep, for sure. Raj, any concluding thoughts on the Sixers?
I mean, great season, boys. I'm so happy that Tobias Harris is finally no longer going to be allowed in Philadelphia. He's going to get shot. If he steps foot in city territory, he's going to get shot. Everyone hates him in South Philly. No one wants him there. I don't think he has one fan on, any Sixers fan hates him.
I was patrolling Philly today, and there were no Tobias Harris jerseys around. So
no, that's a shocker.
Yeah.
Why would you spend your hard-earned money on a Tobias Harris?
Hard day's work. Let me go drop $150 on the new Tobias Harris City Connect jersey
on a jersey that they made for 10 cents in a Vietnamese sweatshop. Yeah, let me do that real quick.
We're gonna talk. We've gone long. We're gonna talk about that's the first round of the playoffs. It was a good time. There were a lot of good series in there. Had fun. Second round, we're going to briefly just cover some storylines. We're going to get a lot more into this next week. The only series that have started is Knicks Pacers and Nuggets Wolves. Some games started today as well as we're recording. Knicks Pacers, what an awesome first game. I mean, for a series where we talked about this isn't going to be as good as Knicks Sixers, which it would be hard to topple.
Yeah.
Still a fantastic game one.
Great game. Knicks got bailed at the end. By some bad calls by the refs, but then also it was strange because as much as I said the refs bailed out the Knicks, there also was some bad calls going the other way earlier in the game. It was just the refs were just terrible. But what else is new?
Yeah, actually, I love the word bailed because this is going to bring up the conversation of getting about whether it was a foul or not. It was a foul, but was I shocked in that moment that they called it? I was really shocked. They called it.
The whole Caitlin Clark thing all over again.
Yep. And I'll just the only thing I had to say about the whistle is I feel like New York gets every benefit of the doubt call right now, whereas other teams aren't getting that. The same thing with the Sixers. I don't necessarily think that all the fouls called on the Knicks, against other teams and the Knicks get the advantage are not fouls, but it's just every time the whistle blows, I'm like, of course, New York got it.
Yeah.
But I want to shout out Indiana's bench. Ridiculous. TJ McConnell +9, Obi Toppin +4, Ben Shepherd +13, Isaiah Jackson +5. Just
never heard of any of these people before this, and they were just dropping nukes on us last night.
My guy TJ McConnell, game of his life, wasn't enough. Just Brunson, man, is on a tear, and that's if he's carrying the team right now. I know there's a lot of other performances, like 43 against there. Josh Hart 24, Dante DiVincenzo 25. The power of friendship.
Yeah,
we talked about it. Big keynote. Mitchell Robinson gets injured in this game. He's out for the series. That's really going to thin out their roster.
Yeah.
That's brutal, and it honestly might cost them the series.
I think it will.
There's so little left in this team. Josh Hart is playing 48 minutes every single night. He played every single minute of that last game. Now Isaiah Hartenstein is going to have to play all these minutes. Like at some point, there's just not enough minutes. These guys are going to get exhausted. And I know people are saying, "Hey, that coach, they're young. Coach runs them hard in practice." I get it, but you can't like Josh Hart and Dante aren't 24, 25 point per game players. Like they're eventually going to regress back to the mean.
Yeah.
And I would say, oh, okay, don't worry, Jalen Brunson can carry them. No, because Jalen's eventually going to regress back to the mean. Jalen's been carrying this team forever.
So then you're going to have to then look to even further into the depth of the bench, and it's gonna be
yeah.
Tough.
And I don't like what I see. It's just a little thought experiment here. Do you like Alec Burks? Man by Deekdy. He played at Virginia. Daquan Jeffries, Shake Milton, or Jericho Sims, NBA dunk contestant.
You could have said any name there, and I would have just been like, yeah, they're probably on the bench. I've never seen them in my life. But
who?
Exactly.
Yeah, like you're starting to run out of options, and again, like playing with this a little bit more like nitty gritty, but the Hartenstein Miles Turner matchup is Miles the perimeter guy. Unless Isaiah is just going to be running around with Miles for 48 minutes,
exactly.
It's brutal. That's a huge loss for the Knicks, a team that's kind of been a little bit ravaged by injury. But I give them credit; they're still playing hard. And
Randall would have been really good in this series, but whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would love to see New York win for basketball because a Knicks Celtics series, even if the Knicks are depleted, was
so toxic. Oh my god,
it's so toxic. But I'm probably I was leaning towards Knicks in 6. I'm probably leaning towards Indy in 7 with the Mitchell Robinson injury.
Yeah, that sucked. But we'll see.
What are your thoughts on the series outcome?
I think Knicks in 6.
Still,
I'm gonna say Pacers in 7. I think that's what it's gonna end up happening.
Yeah, I think the Knicks game 1 advantage will get them far, but I'm afraid they might lose both in Indy with the injuries.
Yeah.
So we'll see. It'll be interesting nonetheless. Nuggets Wolves. All I have to say is wow.
Yeah. There's not really even much to say at this point because like. Obviously, like you've said this, or you've alluded to this earlier about how like game 1s are usually very lopsided. They're usually not that lopsided, where the defending champs, who everybody thought were going to repeat, got pantsed by the Wolves.
So game 1 was relatively close. They only lost by 7.
Oh, sorry, game 2 then. What? Yeah.
But that's
game
like
2.
But that's still the same point. Still is game 1. You usually say, okay, they just came out well, 4-0 sweep, and I know it was 5 games for the Nuggets, but it was a close 5 games. Okay, Nuggets come out, they beat you. Anthony Edwards has 43. Like, okay, whatever.
It's like, all right,
fine.
He's not gonna have that every game.
We're gonna bounce back. Naz Reid 16 points on the bench. You're like, fine. Nuggets, we're gonna win. We'll go 1-1. We'll get the series back. Go to Minnesota. We'll come back home 2-2. Not a problem. We'll handle business. And then you got pantsed in game 2 at home.
Yeah.
And,
that was bad.
And again, I'm not trying to say that the Nuggets are not trying, but they're not trying as hard as the Timberwolves are trying.
Mm-hmm.
There's everyone talking about how good the Minnesota defense is. They are getting up on the Nuggets. They're physical. The Timberwolves last night. Rudy Gobert left to go support the birth his wife and the birth of his child. They didn't even.
He wasn't even there. Yeah,
he won Defensive Player of the Year today. The Defensive Player of the Year wasn't even playing, and they got pants. The Nuggets.
Yeah, that was
destroyed. And it wasn't an offensive dominance from the Timberwolves. They scored 106 points. Anthony Edwards was 27 points. Granted, it was efficient. Karl-Anthony Towns 27. Granted, it was efficient. And just a bunch of okay performances down the board. But the Nuggets scored 80 points.
They just locked them down. They couldn't do anything.
Michael Porter Jr., 9 points on 30% shooting. Nikola Jokic, 16 points on 38% shooting. Jamal Murray, 8 points on 16% shooting.
Ew.
Aaron Gordon led the team in scoring.
Yeah.
Oh, God. You got a problem.
Aaron Gordon was a minus 33 on the court.
What the hell? What?
The Nuggets are in serious trouble, and I don't want to I ride with the Nuggets because I thought they've established themselves. That I don't like the bail the Nuggets. They're not winning the series.
I don't think so either.
No.
I think there's a near 0% chance it doesn't go back to Denver at least 3-1. If it even gets back to Denver, and which I think it will, but they're gonna have to come back from 3-1 down because the Nuggets sure as hell aren't gonna get 2 in mini.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to I don't want to just break it down. There's a lot of more schematic stuff we can talk about. I just don't want to be it's because they're trying.
Down. Yeah.
But it just.
Yeah.
Where do you predictions on that series?
At this rate, I could see the Wolves sweeping.
Sweep.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll take the Wolves in 6. I think they'll get 1 in mini. The Nuggets. I think they'll win Game 5 back at home, and then Game 6 it's going to be a bloodbath, and Minnesota's going to be electric.
I legitimately think they could just sweep. The Nuggets don't. I think though, because they came out, they played the Lakers. They were like, oh, it's fine, whatever. But these past 2 games in Denver were bad.
Yeah, and Jamal Murray's getting fined. He's tossing ice packs on the court.
He nearly hit a ref with a heating pad or something. Got fined $100,000.
Yeah.
They look rattled, and they're going to be going into Minnesota. That crowd has been chomping at the bit for a good basketball team for a long time, for a really long time. And now they finally have a team, and they just know they're up 2-0 on the defending champs with a clear line directly to the finals. Nah, they're going to be insane.
Yeah, I hate to just join bandwagons, but I'm all in on the Nuggets right now. They're having
the Nuggets
fun team to root for. No, Timberwolves. Thank you.
There we go.
Really rapid fire. We're going long. Okay, series predictions. We predicted the last 2. Final predictions. OKC Mavs.
Thunder in 6. Damn it, Draj.
Okay. I'm going Mavs in 7. Don't feel great about it.
Whatever.
Sorry, just making sure I do all the playoff series right.
Celtics
Boston,
in 5.
Yeah, Boston.
Oh, there's only
Cavs,
4 left. Yeah.
Yeah, Boston in 5. Yeah.
Yeah. The notable thing, I guess, for today is that the Celtics did beat the Cavs by 25 tonight.
Can I switch that to Celtics in 4? Actually, now that they beat them by 25.
I just only thing I want to point out with the Celtics before we go. Jason Tatum's been terrible, actually bad. He's he is.
What else is new?
Oh God, I don't know.
He's a bum. He's another bum. Get him out. Get him out the league. Kobe doesn't want to talk to you. Anthony Edwards is the new dog in town.
All right, boys. That's nearly an hour and 40 minutes
Jesus
on basketball.
Christ. Damn.
No time for anything else. The only other thing I want to say is shout out the Phillies, the Philadelphia Phillies. Well, what a ride we're on right now. Shout out to the Yankees. You know what? I'll even shout out the Yankees too.
Juan Soto, my beloved, give him $1 billion, please.
I wait for my pitch to do my job.
I do my job.
I'm very content if the Yankees, for your sake, and the Phillies end up in the World Series.
Let's run it back. 2009. Let's do it again.
Different result, please, this time, though.
Yeah. It will be. It will be. I put money on it, so it'll have to happen.
Oh, God. Here we go.
God damn it.
Bye-bye.
All right. Anything else?
Big bong!
No, that's all.
All right. Well, thanks, everyone. If you listened all the way through, thanks for listening to the Coconut Curry podcast. We're back from here on forwards. Make sure you like all our content going forward. It'll help us out a lot. And other than that, we will see you next week on episode 32, where we break down more NBA playoffs.
I'm sweating through my shirt right now. It's so hot in my room.